Chapter 1101. No, Benjamin continued to feed her, enjoying every moment of it. You should have some food too. I'll eat on my own. Orissa tried to take the bowl, but Benjamin dodged and didn't let her grab it. I'll feed you. He fed her another spoonful. Orissa had no choice but to cooperate and eat. When Sean entered, he saw the couple having breakfast, and Benjamin was patiently feeding his wife oatmeal porridge. He smiled and leaned against the doorway with his hands tucked in the pockets of his white coat. The food smells so good. Hearing his teasing, Benjamin and Orissa turned to look at him at the same time. She greeted Sean. Have you had breakfast, Mr. Bailey? He already ate, Benjamin replied before Sean could answer. Sean scratched his nose speechlessly, glanced at the unwelcoming Benjamin, and said to Orissa, I had a light breakfast, but I'm hungry again now. In that case, join us for breakfast, she invited him enthusiastically. Won't that be a little inappropriate? Sean sneaked a look at Benjamin while smiling sheepishly. That's all right. Edwin prepared a lot of food for breakfast. We can't finish all of it anyway. She gestured for Sean to come over. Benjamin glared at Sean, who chose to feign ignorance. The latter walked over and picked up a piece of bread with a fork to eat. I won't have any oatmeal porridge, I'll just help myself to some pastries. Sean grinned at Orissa in delight. Orissa is the best. Thank you, Orissa. This is delicious. You can't shut your mouth even when it's filled with food. Benjamin shot Sean with a stern look. Sean flashed a flustered smile and swiftly zipped his mouth. He ate in silence but continued staring ahead of him, his eyes darting between Benjamin and Orissa. Watching him feeding her with utter tenderness, he felt himself a victim of the couple's public display of affection. Benjamin, old Mr. Graham will be discharged from the hospital soon. Do you want to pick him up in person? Taken aback, Orissa looked at Sean, then at Benjamin. Dad is getting discharged soon. Benjamin nodded. He's been wanting to leave the hospital for a while now. He turned around and instructed Sean, just inquire about his willingness to leave, then let me know his decision. Let him be discharged after that. I won't pick him up to avoid letting him know we're here. Dad wouldn't want Sean to tell me about his wish to be discharged. Sean nodded. Okay, go and ask my dad now, Benjamin uttered indifferently, wanting Sean to leave sooner. I haven't eaten enough yet. Sean hastily grabbed some more food, gulping them down so he wouldn't miss out. Orissa smiled as she watched the two of them. Unlike the inhospitable Benjamin, she said, Mr. Bailey, slow down. Benjamin's face darkened. The more friendly she treated Sean, the more annoyed Benjamin felt. Don't mind him. Hurry up and have your oatmeal porridge. She glanced at Benjamin's displeased mien, finding his reaction amusing. You should eat quickly, too. It won't taste good once it gets cold. Not minding having his breakfast, Benjamin continued to feed her. Orissa had no choice but to pick up some food and deliver them to his mouth. Eat up. Benjamin felt satisfied and began to eat with gusto. Looking at the couple's sweet interaction, Sean felt a heavy blow to his heart. He took some pastries and headed for the door. You two enjoy your meal. I'll go inform old Mr. Graham about his discharge. Benjamin ignored him, continuing to feed his wife porridge. After Orissa finished one bowl, he filled another. Eat more. This is good for your body. If I have too much porridge, I can't eat anything else. She wanted to try other dishes, as Edwin's cooking was excellent. He handed her some other food. In that case, drink this oatmeal porridge and help yourself to the other edibles at the same time. Delighted, Orissa opened her mouth and gobbled down the food. Edwin's cooking is improving. She grinned, enjoying every bite of the breakfast. Chapter 1102. Sean, carrying out his task, went to Darius Ward downstairs. The butler had already packed the luggage. Old Mr. Graham, you're being discharged today. Do you want to inform Benjamin about this? Darius glowered at him. If you tell him, I'll hold you responsible. Stifling a laugh, Sean nodded vigorously. I promise I won't say a thing. He cleared his throat. As a doctor, he still needed to remind Darius of a few things. Old Mr. Graham, you must rest well when you return. Don't let your emotions fluctuate too much, and don't lose your temper. Do you understand? I got it. You've said that many times already. Darius waved his hand impatiently, signaling the butler to leave. William held Darius' luggage in one hand and supported Darius with the other as they walked toward the door. Old Mr. Graham, let me take you home. Sean stepped forward to help, but Darius glanced at him. Get back to your work. You don't have to send me. I'll accompany you downstairs. Then, Sean chirped. Darius went to Mary's ward to inform her. Miss Connor, I'm being discharged now. You take good care of yourself here. Have you recovered? She asked concernedly. Darius' condition wasn't severe, and he had recovered after staying in the hospital for a few days. Yes, I can't get used to staying here, so I'd rather go home. We'll come to visit you when we're free. All right, you should go home early, then. Mary wanted to see Darius off, but the latter stopped her. You don't need to send me off. Return to your room and get some rest. Darius waved his hand. Sean accompanied them to the entrance of the inpatient building, where a car was already waiting. It was Ethan who had come to pick up Darius. Why are you here? Darius looked at Ethan, then shifted his attention to Sean. Sean immediately figured out what Darius was thinking. Old Mr. Graham, I can guarantee Benjamin has no idea about your discharge. We won't tell him, so don't worry. Darius snorted. Ethan walked over to help Darius into the car, reassuring the latter. Old Mr. Graham, I promise I won't tell Mr. Graham about this. Why didn't you go on the business trip with him? Darius found that slightly peculiar. Ethan smiled, having already prepared an explanation. Something happened at the company. Mr. Graham told me to return earlier to handle it, so I came back first. Darius gazed at them and didn't notice anything off. Let's go back, then. Ethan and Sean exchanged glances before Ethan drove Darius back to the old manor. Sean watched the car drive away before turning around to enter the building and heading upstairs to report to Benjamin. Old Mr. Graham has gone back. You can rest easy now. Benjamin shot a quick look at Sean while continuing to feed Orissa her medication. Staring at them, Orissa sensed something. You allowed Dad to be discharged. Benjamin met her gaze and nodded. Yes. How could you do that? So what if Dad knows I'm hospitalized? How could you disregard his health? Orissa, old Mr. Graham has recovered. Otherwise, as a doctor, I wouldn't have allowed him to go back. Sean hurriedly clarified that matter to her to save Benjamin from a lecture. I wouldn't let Dad leave the hospital either if he was still ill. Besides, he's been wanting to go home for a while now. Benjamin, feeling quite wronged, also explained to her tenderly. Orissa knitted her brows, unable to shake off the feeling that Darius had been discharged early because she was hospitalized there. Make sure to send someone to take good care of Dad. Benjamin nodded. I'll arrange everything. He immediately made the phone call in front of her, instructing the bodyguards to secure the old manor and forbid anyone from disturbing Darius. Only then did Orissa feel relieved. If there's nothing else, I'll get back to work. Sean excused himself and swiftly left. Benjamin glanced at the tactful fellow before turning around to tuck Orissa in. Rest well. I have a meeting to attend now. Chapter 1103. Orissa stayed at the hospital for another 6 days before Benjamin agreed to get her discharged. After knowing that their mother would be discharged, the 6 children went to the hospital to pick her up early in the morning. Mommy, we're here to pick you up. The 6 children stood beside Orissa's bed. She had just woken. Orissa was happy to see them. However, when she realized it was not the weekend, her grin drooped to a frown. Don't you have school today? The children smiled awkwardly. Mommy, it's fine if we don't go to school for one day. We've already told our teacher we'll take the day off since we're bringing you home. Seeing how excited they were, Orissa could not bear to scold them. Instead, she pinched their cheeks. She looked up and yelled at the man beside her, Benjamin, carry me to the restroom. I need to wash up. Benjamin glanced at the children before walking over to carry Orissa. She wrapped her arms around his neck as he lifted her. Before he brought her to the restroom, he instructed the children, help your mommy pack her things. Hee. Okay. The children quickly ran to gather Orissa's things. They chattered while packing her bags. Do we need to bring this home? That's mommy's. Of course, we need to bring it home. What about this? Do we need to take this cup? Orissa turned to look at the children. It had only been a few seconds, but the bed was already filled with items. Don't make a mess. I'll do it myself later. Don't worry, Mommy. We promised to arrange your things nicely. Zachary promised. Orissa grinned and nodded. Benjamin carried her into the restroom, and she quickly washed up. When Benjamin and Orissa came out, the children had finished packing. Benjamin checked through the bags and noticed everything had been packed neatly. He was surprised by the children's ability to complete such a tedious chore. The children rushed into the restroom and grabbed Orissa's face wash, toothbrush and other essentials before packing them into a bag. Mommy, we're done packing your things. Gavin smiled as he reported to Orissa. Thank you, my sweethearts. Benjamin placed Orissa to sit on the edge of the bed. She turned to look at him and instructed, go and check if anything was left behind. You should eat first. Benjamin grabbed the breakfast he had brought, wanting to feed her. It's fine. You go and check quickly. I'll eat on our way home. Orissa couldn't wait to leave. She wore her shoes and told Benjamin and the children, I'll go and see Grandaunt. We'll go with you, Mommy. The children quickly followed behind her. In a flash, only Benjamin was left in the room. His brows knitted into a frown as he grabbed a jacket and hurried after Orissa to place it on her shoulders. Although you can be discharged, you should still pay attention to your health. I'll look for you later. Orissa nodded and smiled. I got it. Be quick. She brought the children downstairs to visit Mary. Since she would be leaving today, she was unsure whether she could come and visit Mary the next day. Mary was eating when they arrived. She smiled and waved enthusiastically. You lot are early. Have you had breakfast? Come and eat with me. Grandaunt, we've already eaten. We're just here to visit you. We'll be leaving in a bit. Orissa quickly said, afraid the children might expose her to Mary that she hadn't eaten yet. They still have to go to school, right? Since you're tight on time, you shouldn't have come to see me. I've been doing well recently. Even the doctors say I'm recovering fast. Mary looked at them and coaxed. Orissa sat down and accompanied Mary for some time before Benjamin arrived. He greeted Mary and sat down beside Orissa. It had been a few days since Mary saw Benjamin. They inquired about each other's health before moving on to other topics. After some time, they said their goodbyes. Benjamin then brought Orissa and the children home. The atmosphere in the car was joyful as the 6 children crowded around Orissa and chatted non-stop. Despite the constant chattering, Orissa was happy. Chapter 1104. Orissa was relieved and happy when they arrived at the Graham residence. I'm finally home. Benjamin's lips curved upward into a smile when he saw the smile crinkling the corners of her eyes. It had pained him to see Orissa feeling uncomfortable at the hospital. However, now that she was discharged, he could finally see her smile again. Edwin led everyone to wait at the mansion's entrance to welcome Orissa home. All the housekeepers had been warned to keep quiet about Orissa's pregnancy. Everyone understood the order and was prepared to take good care of Orissa. Congratulations on getting discharged, Mrs. Graham. Welcome home. Orissa was shocked by everyone's enthusiastic cheers when she got out of the car. She flashed them a smile and said, "Thank you, everyone. Mommy, let's get inside. You shouldn't stay outside for too long. You'll catch a cold." Orissa grinned at the children's reminder. "Let's go." Benjamin tightened the jacket on her shoulders. "Okay." Orissa nodded and followed Benjamin. Benjamin suddenly bent down and picked her up bridal style. She was surprised and quickly wrapped her arms around his neck. He laughed when he saw her glaring at him. "I'll carry you." Orissa was so embarrassed when she noticed that everyone was laughing. She buried her face in his neck to hide the blush on her cheeks. The children helped to carry her bags and trotted behind them, looking ever so cute. Ethan and Bradley grabbed the bigger bags and headed inside. Everyone was happy to see Orissa at home. Edwin asked the housekeepers to help out in the kitchen to prepare a feast for lunch. Benjamin carried Orissa upstairs to their bedroom. The children, Ethan and Bradley, followed behind them. Ethan and Bradley left after placing the bags in the room. Benjamin placed Orissa on the bed and helped her to sit in a more comfortable position before pulling the blanket over her legs. Orissa looked around the room. It had been more than a week since she had been home. It feels much better at home. The children helped to unpack and hang her clothes. Benjamin poured a glass of water and held it to her lips. Have some water. Okay. Orissa reached for the glass, but Benjamin slapped her hand away. She had no choice but to lower her head and drink from the glass he held out. Okay, that's enough. I don't want any more. For a moment, Benjamin stared at the remaining water in the glass. He sighed and finished it before placing the glass on the bedside table. He got up and went to help the children hang the clothes. Mr. Graham, these aren't dry. Help me dry them, please. Jasper reminded Benjamin as he looked at the ladder. Benjamin hung the clothes on a few hangers and gave them to Jasper. The boy took them and went to hang them on the balcony. After some time, everything was unpacked and arranged neatly in the room. Go and drink some water. Orissa watched with a gentle expression as the children moved about. Benjamin went to pour 6 cups of water and called the children over. The children happily ran over and drank the water. Mommy, we've finished helping you unpack. You don't need to do anything. Just rest. Mommy, do you want some water? It's fine. I already had some, Orissa replied with a smile. Mommy. After finishing their water, the children ran and stood beside Orissa's bed. Benjamin frowned. Go out and play. Don't disturb your mommy's rest. The children turned to look at him. They wanted to protest, but at the same time, they didn't want to disturb Orissa from resting. Despite the pouts on their lips, they obediently left the room. Mommy, call us if you need anything. Zachary reminded Orissa before he ran out of the room. Orissa smiled as she watched the children leave the room. After they left, she turned to look at Benjamin. You should rest too. Benjamin's lips curved into a smile as he stood by the bed. I'm not tired. Orissa wasn't tired either. However, she had to lie down because she didn't want them to worry about her. Benjamin left the room but soon returned with a laptop in hand. He sat on the couch and opened the laptop, busying himself with work. Orissa felt a warm sensation flood her heart when she saw that. Why don't you work in the study? I'll be fine. Chapter 1105. Benjamin looked up and glanced at Orissa. I'll stay here. Let me know if you need anything. Seeing that he was unwilling to go to the study, Orissa had no choice but to agree. She lay and rested for a while before getting out of bed. Where are you going? Benjamin suddenly looked over and stared at her. Orissa sat at the edge of the bed and glanced at him. I'm going to take a walk. You can't, Benjamin said domineeringly, not allowing her to go. Orissa was amused. She pouted and acted cute. I feel fine. Why can't I go and take a walk? It's not like I'll be going out. I'll just be walking around the house. If I lie down any longer, I might become crippled. Did you have to exaggerate it like that? Benjamin asked as he made his way over. Orissa stared at him. What are you doing? Benjamin took her jacket and placed it around her shoulders. Give me a few minutes. I'll accompany you after I'm done. Orissa did not want to distract him from his work. It's okay. You can go about with your work. I'll be fine on my own. Benjamin gently pinched her cheeks as he talked to her softly. Be good and listen to me. Orissa gave up and sighed. Fine, go ahead with your work. I'll go to the restroom. She stood up and was about to head to the restroom when Benjamin wrapped his arms around her and picked her up. The corners of Orissa's lips twitched. Are you treating me like a kid who doesn't know how to walk? Benjamin stared into her eyes. Is it not okay for me to carry you? A blush crept onto Orissa's cheeks. It's not that. It's just that you're way too diligent about it. A blush crept onto Orissa's cheeks. It's not that. It's just that you're way too diligent about it. He won't even let me take one step by myself. It's not like I can't walk. Benjamin looked at her adoringly and coaxed her gently. You can walk however you like and wherever you want when you've fully recovered. Orissa's gaze locked onto Benjamin's handsome face. She felt her heart skip a beat. His words had touched her. You worry too much. Mr. Bailey said I'm recovering well. Benjamin hummed in response but was determined to carry her to the restroom. Orissa had no choice but to bear with her embarrassment. After all, she badly needed to relieve herself. Benjamin waited for her to finish her business in the restroom before carrying her again and laying her back on the bed. That's enough. You can continue with your work. I won't cause you any more trouble. Orissa felt guilty as she knew he was swamped with work. Benjamin gently tapped her nose and said, "No matter what you do, you won't cause me any trouble. Caring for you is my #1 priority." Orissa flashed him a sweet smile. "Okay." Benjamin's eyes darkened. He couldn't help himself as he leaned forward and kissed her cheek. All of a sudden, they heard a commotion coming from downstairs. It sounded like people were arguing. His brows furrowed as a hint of anger flashed across his eyes. "What's going on downstairs?" Orissa looked at Benjamin. She couldn't hear clearly what the people downstairs were arguing about. "Stay here and rest. I'll go and see what's going on," Benjamin instructed before he left the room, closing the door behind him. The people arguing downstairs were Julian and Ethan. Ethan had blocked Julian from going upstairs, which resulted in their argument. "What's going on?" Benjamin growled as he glared at Julian. "Mr. Graham, I didn't allow him to head upstairs, so he's making a scene here," Ethan explained as he approached Benjamin and stood beside the ladder. "Uncle Benjamin, I'm here to look for you," Julian grunted. He was oblivious to how rude he was to cause a ruckus at someone else's home. Benjamin's expression turned grim as he walked down the stairs. "Julian, how dare you barge into my home and kick up a fuss?" Julian met Benjamin's angry eyes, feeling a chill run down his spine when he noticed the stern and vicious look in them. His arrogance significantly subsided. "Uncle Benjamin, why did you steal our family's business? My father's already in jail, yet you still want to treat me like this. Don't you think you're going overboard? When are you going to let him out?" Benjamin snickered. "Are you here to interrogate me?" Julian's expression darkened. The current head of the Graham family was Benjamin, and he had been deliberately oppressing Julian's family. His father was sent to jail by Benjamin. Although Julian was angry, there was nothing he could do about it. Chapter 1106. "I wouldn't dare," Julian yelled through clenched teeth, not daring to say anything that might anger Benjamin. Benjamin looked Julian up and down angrily. He walked toward the couch and sat down before crossing his legs, exuding a domineering aura. Benjamin did not ask Julian to take a seat, so the latter did not dare to sit. Instead, he stood before Benjamin. Even when Benjamin was seated, he still frightened Julian. "You wouldn't dare," Benjamin chuckled. "Just now, you tried to barge upstairs. How dare you do as you please on my territory?" The anger in Benjamin's voice sent shivers down everyone's spine. "I'm sorry for being reckless." Julian lowered his head and apologized, though it was not sincere. Benjamin caught sight of the angry look on Julian's face. His lips curled into a smirk as he mocked, "What's wrong? You won't admit to your defeat." "Of course not." Julian shuddered. He gulped and tried to remain calm, changing the topic to his main purpose of looking for Benjamin. "Uncle Benjamin, please have mercy on my father. He's already 60. He'll have a hard time in jail." Benjamin scoffed. "He's got to put up with it even if it's hard. He deserves whatever he's getting. He should have known the consequences of his actions when he sabotaged me." Julian was fuming when he heard those heartless words coming out of Benjamin's mouth. "Uncle Benjamin, nothing happened to you anyway. You didn't even lose anything." After hearing Julian's shameless comments, Ethan wanted to send him a flying kick in the butt to teach him a lesson in Benjamin's place. "How shameless of you. Mr. Graham almost lost his life, yet you dare say he didn't lose anything. You people were the ones who committed a crime. Why are you acting so arrogant?" Julian's expression darkened when he saw the grim expression on Benjamin's face. He lost his confidence when he met Benjamin's eyes, which were filled with anger. "It's not my father who did it. Someone framed him. Tell that to the police." "There's no use if you tell me about it. I'm not the police," Benjamin mocked. Seeing Benjamin's determination not to show mercy on his father, Julian gritted his teeth as anger bubbled within him. "Forget it if you won't help with my father's issue. Instead, please spare my family business, Uncle Benjamin." Benjamin slowly looked up and stared at Julian. "HMPH. He's pretty adamant about begging me to spare his family. Unfortunately, the winner takes it all. If you don't have the ability to operate your business, who should you blame if not yourself? Why does that have anything to do with me if no one is willing to collaborate with your company? Julian's expression changed as he balled his hands into tight fists. Uncle Benjamin, will things please you when you watch our family suffer? Benjamin raised his eyebrows before shooting Julian a glare. So what if I am? Julian was fuming, but he could not do anything to go up against Benjamin. Get out. My wife is resting upstairs. If you're stubborn and want to continue to cause a stir here, don't blame me for taking action and forcefully kicking you out. Benjamin was asking Julian to leave. He wasn't even going to show him respect as he threatened the latter. He turned to look at Ethan and commanded, instruct the bodyguards at the entrance not to let these dogs enter in the future. Otherwise, whoever does it will receive grave punishment. Yes, Mr. Graham, Ethan replied and hurried to do as he was instructed. He soon returned and stood before Julian. Please leave, Mr. Julian, he said as he glared at Julian. Julian returned the glare. Aside from not getting what he wanted, he was humiliated by Benjamin. Just you wait. One day, I will make it big and return all the humiliation you've caused me. Tenfold. How dare you call me a dog? Julian left with a scowl on his face. At the entrance, he accidentally bumped into the children who came running from the garden. He shot them a glare before getting into his car and driving away. The 6 children were momentarily stunned as they watched the car leave. Wasn't that the bad guy's son? Zachary frowned and stared at the car. Gavin nodded. Yeah, that's mean Uncle Nick's son, Julian. Although that cousin of theirs was at the age where he could be their father, he was not friendly to them. Gavin didn't like him. Was he glaring at us? Jasper scratched his cheek as he was uncertain. Oliver pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose and said sternly, I think he was. Why was he at our house? Tim bit his lip. He was a little afraid of Julian. Of course, he's here to look for Daddy. Let's go in and see what happened. Gavin exclaimed before running into the house, his siblings quickly following behind. Chapter 1107. Daddy. When Gavin saw Benjamin, he ran up to him with his siblings following behind. The sight of the children covered in sweat elicited a frown from Benjamin. Come here, I'll wipe off your sweat for you. However, the children continued to stare at him, and it was Gavin who posed the question in the end. Daddy, what is Julian doing in our home? The expression on Benjamin's face eased when he met his son's gaze. He tousled the latter's hair as he replied, he's here to beg for mercy. The 6 children heaved a sigh of relief upon realizing that he wasn't there to cause trouble. Sweeping his gaze across their faces, Benjamin curled his lips slightly as he asked, Are you worried about me? Of course not. Zachary harumphed in denial despite how obvious his concern was. With his eyes glistening in amusement, Benjamin wiped their sweat away for them. Drink some water. I'm going up to see your mommy. With that, he headed upstairs with the children looking on at his leaving silhouette. When Ethan saw how cute the children looked together, he teased them for a while before leading them away to play. Orissa was still awake as she waited for Benjamin to come back. At the sight of him, she hurriedly asked, Who is it? Benjamin replied flatly, Julian. Orissa briefly froze before she recalled who he was. What is he doing here? He wants me to let them go. Benjamin settled down on the couch and continued his work. When Orissa observed that he didn't seem bothered, she let out a sigh of relief. It wasn't until it was close to lunchtime that Benjamin finished his work. After putting his documents away, he walked to her bedside. Let's head down. Are you done with your work? Orissa couldn't stand it any longer. She could barely sleep and was sick of surfing on her phone. As the playing children's voices could be heard occasionally, she had long wanted to join them. Downstairs. Benjamin handed her a jacket before carrying her down. With her hands wrapped around his neck, her face glowed as she asked, Am I too heavy for you to carry? Benjamin lowered his eyes and gazed deeply into her. Not at all. Orissa didn't believe him. I weigh at least 100 pounds for goodness sake. I can still carry you even if you weigh 200 pounds. Benjamin's lips curled as if he could read her mind. As she stared at him with her glistening eyes, Orissa teased, Can you really carry me if I'm that heavy? You can give it a try. Benjamin responded with a mischievous smile. The corners of Arissa's mouth twitched. Why should I? I would look terrible if I were that fat. Besides, it would be really difficult to lose weight. Chuckling softly, Benjamin pinched her at the waist. Don't you know that I'm really strong? Arissa replied coyly, I know you're strong. Carry me all you want. The mesmerizing looks on her face caused Benjamin's eyes to glisten as he leaned in to kiss her. Eyes widened, Arissa stared at Benjamin's handsome face until the latter's lips parted from hers. We're at the staircase, she reprimanded softly. Benjamin burst out in laughter. I can't help myself. You're simply irresistible. Rendered speechless, Arissa could feel her cheeks burn as she buried her head in his arms. When Benjamin arrived downstairs with Arissa in his arms, the children stopped playing and gathered around their parents. Mommy, there you are. Arissa acknowledged the children as the sight of them brought a sparkle to her eyes. What are you playing? Hee, Mommy, Mr. Frank is playing a game with us. Jessie beamed in delight. Mommy, we were just playing hide and seek. Tim was equally elated. Arissa broke into a wide smile when she saw how much they were enjoying themselves. In that case, you should continue playing, while I'll watch from the side. Chapter 1108. Mommy, aren't you going to play with us? It was obvious from the sweat beading off Jasper's brow that he was having a blast. I don't think so. You guys should carry on without me. Zachary subsequently shot Jasper a glare. This game is too tiring for Mommy. Just go and play. Your mommy is unable to join in the game. Now that Benjamin had the last say, the children briefly felt that it was a shame before giving Ethan's hand a tug. Only when Ethan gave Arissa and Benjamin a look and saw no objection did he lead the six out to play. After putting Arissa down on the couch, he covered her thighs with a blanket. Arissa was nonplussed over the gesture. I'm not cold. Why is he covering me with so many layers in this hot weather? Is he trying to kill me with the heat? Cover yourself or you'll catch a cold. Benjamin tightened his grip on her. Arissa was dumbstruck. Sitting by her side on the couch, Benjamin fed her some snacks. Are you hungry? Arissa flashed a smile at him before grabbing some with her own hand. I'm all right. Benjamin then poured her a glass of water and placed it on the coffee table. I'll go check if lunch is ready. Arissa continued snacking while watching the children play. When there was no sign of Bradley, she asked Ethan, where's Bradley? Has he left? No, he's helping out in the kitchen, Ethan answered. Arissa grunted in acknowledgement. No wonder I didn't see him. Arissa grunted in acknowledgement. No wonder I didn't see him. The moment Benjamin stepped into the kitchen, Edwin greeted him respectfully. Mr. Graham, are you hungry? Lunch will be ready in 10 minutes. Okay. Benjamin nodded. I'll give Issa something to snack on first. Mr. Graham, the soup is ready. Why don't you give her some of that instead? Bradley suggested. Benjamin nodded in response. Sure. Soup it is. The timing is perfect. Once she has finished her soup, she'll be able to have lunch. Edwin handed Bradley a big bowl of soup and got him to serve it. Mr. Graham, do you want to have some together with Mrs. Graham? I'm fine, thank you. Benjamin wasn't hungry. He was just worried that Arissa was. Once they prepared a bowl for him, Benjamin brought it out to the living room. Here, have some soup. Benjamin blew on the soup to cool it before sampling it himself. Only then did he feed it to her. Careful, it's hot. I know. Arissa took a sip to make sure it wouldn't burn her tongue before drinking it. It's delicious. Her eyes lit up with a satisfied expression. Benjamin stared at how she was enjoying herself. Drink more then. Once you're done with this, I'll get you another bowl. Arissa smiled in amusement. Do you want some? You can have it first. Benjamin continued feeding her. When the children saw Arissa having something to eat, they ran over to her side. Mommy, is it time for lunch? Mommy, what are you having? It smells good. The children were all drenched in sweat. Arissa subsequently helped them dry their sweat with a towel. Look at how sweaty all of you are. I'm having some soup, and lunch should be ready shortly. The children gleefully allowed her to wipe away their sweat. Mommy, can we drink some too? Feeling greedy, Jessie stared intently at Arissa who nodded in response. Sure, You can get Mr. Whitley to serve you some. The soup is ready anyway. Hooray! The children cheered before rushing to the kitchen for some soup. Orissa beamed as she was heartened by the children's leaving silhouettes. Over here, Benjamin called out before feeding Orissa more soup when she turned around. After she drank the soup, the warm sensation in her stomach put her in a particularly good mood. The soup tastes pretty good. You should have some too. She blocked Benjamin's hand so that he could try some. After throwing her a glance, he finally took a sip. It's kind of sweet. Orissa let out a chuckle. That's what makes it delicious. You can finish the meat inside, as I don't like them. Benjamin cocked a brow as he replied, in that case, you should drink the soup first. Chapter 1109. Soon, the children were carrying bowls of soup from the dining room into the living room. Watch yourselves, Orissa reminded them. When Ethan came out of the bathroom and saw what was going on, he hurried over and helped the children with the soup. Unfortunately, he could only carry 2. Hence, Orissa turned around and instructed Benjamin, go help them before they burn themselves. Benjamin gave her a look before putting down the bowl in his hand and doing as he was told. In the end, only Gavin and Tim were carrying their own bowls of soup. Wait a moment and be careful not to scald yourself. Benjamin reminded them before putting down the soups he was carrying. I'll be careful, Mr. Graham. Together with Gavin, Tim carried his soup to the living room slowly. Meanwhile, Ethan moved faster than Benjamin did. After putting down Jasper's and Oliver's soups, he swiftly returned to help the other 2. Why aren't you eating in the dining room and coming here instead? Benjamin swept his gaze across the children's faces. The children stuck their tongues out innocently as they answered in unison, we want to eat with mommy. Just as they spoke, they fought amongst themselves to sit right next to Orissa. Her heart melted at the scene, and she reached out her hands to hug them all. Quick, drink your soups. Okay. Only then did the children sit around the coffee table to drink their soup. Previously, Benjamin frowned upon eating outside the dining room. Now that the children were huddled together, not only did he not disapprove of the idea but also found the scene to be particularly heartwarming. Previously, Benjamin frowned upon eating outside the dining room. Now that the children were huddled together, not only did he not disapprove of the idea but also found the scene to be particularly heartwarming. Move aside. Benjamin pulled Gavin up so that he could sit beside Orissa. The fuming Gavin glared at him. How can you do this, Daddy? Despite his son's complaint, Benjamin continued feeding Orissa as if he was oblivious to it. Breaking into a smile, Orissa pulled Gavin into her arms. Let me hug you. Leaning against Orissa's knees, Gavin gloated in Benjamin's direction. Hee hee. Benjamin gave him the side eye and spoke in a serious tone. If you drink your soup sitting that way, you'll spill it over mommy and scald her. Blinking his eyes, Gavin quickly grasped the logic in Benjamin's words. Thus, he turned around and said to Orissa, Mommy, I'll sit to the side or I might spill hot soup on you that way. You won't. Orissa tightened her hug over him as she began to feed him soup. I'll feed you, sweetheart. Gavin's eyes sparkled, and he opened his mouth in delight. As for the other 5 children, they couldn't help feeling envious. Unfortunately, it was clear that Orissa could only have one child sitting in her arms. Left without a choice, they resigned themselves to drinking their respective soups. Benjamin had no choice but to allow her to pamper the children however she wanted. After he was done feeding her a bowl of soup, he went off to get a refill. Mr. Graham, let me get it for you. Ethan came over to take the bowl from Benjamin's hands. If you're hungry, you should get a bowl for yourself too, Benjamin suggested to Ethan, who nodded in response. Sure. Ethan scurried off to the kitchen to refill Orissa's bowl before going back again to get one for himself. Inside the living room, the family of 8 ate together in a heartwarming scene. Meanwhile, the dejected Julian returned to an empty home. Mr. Graham, I'm surprised to see you back so early, the butler remarked at the sight of him. Why can't I come back early? Julian snapped at the butler. It's not that, the butler tried to explain but decided to hold his tongue when he noticed Julian's gloomy expression. At that moment, a sound was heard from the door. Crystal Mallory, Julian's mother, had returned home. Julian, have you seen Benjamin? What did he say? When Crystal came up to Julian and noticed the glum look on his face, the answer became obvious. Mom, don't mention that name in front of me. We're not family to him, and he even called me useless. Julian railed. His anger had yet to dissipate ever since he returned from the Graham residence. Chapter 1110. What? Crystal was stunned and infuriated at the same time. Did Benjamin really say that? Julian subsequently related everything that happened at the Graham residence to Crystal. Benjamin has crossed the line. Is he bullying us just because we have no one to back us up? Crystal's eyes glistened in rage. At the end of the day, her previous son was still the eldest among the Graham family's grandchildren. Yet, he was humiliated by Benjamin that way. I'm going to see Darius. With nowhere to vent her anger, Crystal felt that she had to tell Darius what happened. Mom, Grandpa is under Uncle Benjamin's control. There's no way we can find him, let alone see him, Julian replied through his gritted teeth. I don't care. I must let Darius be the judge. How can Benjamin insult you that way? Crystal insisted on bringing her case to Darius, as she was unable to tolerate seeing her son being ridiculed. Even if you see Grandpa, he might not decide to side with us, Julian commented sarcastically. Grandpa is biased. Regardless of his decision, we still need to see him. With no time for a change of clothes, Crystal stormed out. The sight of how protective his mother was struck a chord with Julian. Thus, he got to his feet and followed her out. Mom, I'll go with you. Come along then, Crystal agreed with a nod. Upon arriving at the hospital, they learned that Darius had already been discharged, leaving them no choice but to head to Old Manor. However, both mother and son were furious when the bodyguard barred them from entering the place. This is our home too. What gives you the right to stop us? If you don't let me in, I'll smash my head on the ground till you do. Glaring fiercely at the bodyguard, Crystal showed no fear in her attempt to barge in. All of a sudden, William came over and instructed, let them in. Upon entering Old Manor, Crystal and Julian eased the scowl on their faces when they saw Darius drinking coffee in the living room. Dad, Grandpa, Darius threw them both a glance. Come and have a seat. Crystal and Julian took their seats and began to make small talk. Have you had lunch, Dad? I have. Darius scrutinized both of them quickly. What brings you here at this hour? Grandpa, I would like to complain about Uncle Benjamin. Julian declared in displeasure. Crystal quickly gave her son a tug. Speaking in that tone will give Dad less reason to side with us. Mind your manners, Julian. The discreet gestures between mother and son didn't escape Darius' notice. Yet he chose to say nothing of it. Out with whatever you came here to say. It'll be time for my nap soon. Lowering herself in front of Darius, Crystal related how James was humiliated by Benjamin at the Graham residence. The news briefly stunned Darius. Benjamin has returned from his business trip. You must have gotten on Benjamin's nerves. Otherwise, he wouldn't have flared his temper at you. Darius gave Julian a look. The latter's character wasn't lost upon him. Grandpa, I just wanted to discuss something with him. I had no choice but to yell when his housekeepers prevented me from seeing him. Julian felt aggrieved. All these people have no respect for me. What did you want to discuss with him? Darius flatly asked. Grandpa, Uncle Benjamin has caused Dad to end up in prison. He shows no mercy despite them being brothers. On top of that, our family business is being destroyed by him, causing us massive losses. We won't be able to survive at this rate. Darius gave Julian a stern look. Do you know why your father went to jail? The question caused Crystal and Julian to be dumbfounded. I'm glad you're aware of the reason, and here. I was, assuming that you didn't. In that case, you can't blame Benjamin for his actions. Your father did him wrong first by attempting to murder him. The Graham family has no place for someone as treacherous as your father. Panic gripped Crystal and Julian upon hearing Darius' words. Is he planning to sever ties with our family? Dad, the matter hasn't concluded yet. You have to give Nick a chance.